We had a big announcement, but this is also the dedicated podcast. So we're going to get to know a little bit more about Coach as well. And to start things off, we got to kick it off with your main question, Mumphrey, that you always ask on these podcasts. So I couldn't steal your thunder. I got to let you do that, because that's always how we roll with this.
Absolutely. So, Coach, as we transition here, one of the things with dedicated podcasts, we'd like to take it back a little bit to really get to know our coaches, our athletes, to really know, there's a moment in all of our lives, and I share my personal moment as well. There's a moment that triggered, um, that made you become dedicated to reach the success you are today. And I know for me and my family, growing up in a small little rural town in East Texas called Kilgore, shout out K Town, we made it to the state championship, got blew out, but we made it. Uh, you know, just my home life was a challenge for me. But my dad ended up falling victim to crack cocaine in the early '80s, and but he still made sure the bills was paid. So I always respect that. But that's kind of, he was an abusive guy, and that kind of made me to get in push-ups and get in the weight room, and but what I did know as I look back on that, that also made me learn what hard work is about. And that's why learning to go after what your goals are and not do what the crowd do, just always be that leader. I was able to get stronger, and then it earned me a scholarship to SMU, which in turn turned into, I built several other businesses, and just stick to it, because when you have those challenges as a young person, you got two options, I think, in life. You can either go and suck about it and be the guy on the street corner drinking the 40 ounce, or you can go and do everything different, and become whatever God called you to do and great in your life. So what's that moment in your life that you became dedicated?
Yeah, so I think there wasn't like a exact, 2-second moment. I think it's more similar to yours, to where kind of that struggle of growing up. My father spent most of my childhood and young adulthood in prison on drug related charges. So yeah, he spent my first 20 years of life in prison. So he was not around. Drugs were always around me. Me and my older brother, 3 years older than me and him living in a garage, just with a roll up door, no AC in there. If we wanted AC, we had to roll up the door at night. Mosquitoes coming in, so we're both sharing the same bed under the blanket. I'm not a little guy, he's not a little guy. So that's just an example of what our life was kind of like. So being in a position like that, coming from where I come from, which is Wiki Wachi, out in the woods of Hernando, the only option I had in mind was to either play sports and try to make it some way, or go into the military. My high school mindset at that time was, that's the only two options I have to somehow try to take care of my family, right? So I've ended up growing a little bit going into high school. I wasn't even 6 foot tall, right? So that football at Division I mindset was not in my mind at that time. And then 2 inches came every single year. 2 inches and 20 pounds came every single year. I started getting bigger and bigger. My head coach is actually my general manager here at the facility. He kind of put me under his wing, gave me that dad role, and just kind of explained to me, sat me down, said, "Hey, you could really be good at football if you put your mind to this." So I decided to put my mind towards football. I was in the weight room before school started every single morning. Had a key to that weight room. Walking to school, however it may be. I made it a goal to make sure I would be able to take care of my family one day. So I'd say just the way I was raised and kind of how I was brought up made me want to be great. To end that generational curse. No one had been to college. God forbid, got their master's degree like I did. So to end that generational curse and take care of my family was the biggest mindset at the time. But as it went on, my love for the football just grew, right? So eventually my love for the game kind of mirrored that mindset. Like, it was right there. I love this game so much, and I love my family so much. Eventually, only my family was up here, and the love for the game as it started getting better grew. But yeah, and then eventually it was, especially when you get to that NFL level, if you don't have love for the game, you ain't gonna last very long in those locker rooms. So eventually, my love for the game kind of surpassed everything and drove me to where I went.
You mentioned that relationship with your coach and high school coach, and obviously that's carried over to today. You guys have a professional relationship now, but what did that relationship at the time in high school sort of mean to you, and how did that shape the person that you are today, and ultimately maybe influence you to want to coach and give back to the athletes like we're seeing now?
Yeah, I mean, just the mentor, and he was never anybody to sugarcoat anything, and he would be considered an old school coach today. He's grabbing my face mask in practice, spit is going in my face, all that stuff, telling me exactly how it is and how it should be and what life is going to look like past that high school. So that's just something that I needed guidance in my life, and that's something that he brought. I was never a really bad troublemaker, and maybe in middle school I was. Didn't like bullies, wasn't a fan of bullies. But once I got to that high school level, he kind of grabbed me, by the collarbone and said, "Hey, this is you should take this very seriously." And he kind of held me under his wing ever since. Still does to this day. Can't do much without him. He's my side guy. He's always next to me. That's my man.
Yeah, Coach, I think, I relate very well. I think it's always somebody that in your life kind of guides you along. I never forget the day, and this is probably one of the moments, the second moment in my life that kind of made things come clear. I'm a freshman, and I was hanging with all the other guys. I mean, just doing dumb stuff, and the principal said, "Hey," told my cousin, he's like, "Look, you need to figure out what your cousin want to do because I wouldn't give 50 cents for him." And I'm like, wait a minute here, and so that was kind of that turning moment. So I definitely understand that. So I have a cousin that kind of came on and said, "Hey man, you kind of need to figure it out." And I think this is one of the things that brings the passion of the day and what we're doing at DR Sports. And I know that was one of the major things that I heard in our conversation when talking to you about Drive7Bigs, is was just the passion you had to be able to speak into an athlete life. I know you've been training, you've been kind of tell us about that journey through your college life. How did that look? Because I know you started at Rutgers and then you ended up at another school. Kind of share with a little bit about that, because that's a transition too. That's that next phase of mentorship. That's that next phase on kind of making a big boy decision. How did you get to those?
Yeah, so my high school coach once again kind of guided me through that recruiting process. I ended up with over 40 Division I scholarships coming out of high school. So I had my pick of the litter. Unlike today, we only had a certain amount of official visits. It was 5 at the time. Today is unlimited. But yeah, definitely choosing what school was best for me. Decisions back then, I mean, I say back then like it was that long ago, but decisions then were made a little bit differently than they are now. More as when you're looking at college, is more of a business mindset. To whereas I was looking at the staff and the players that I was going to play with. Um, James Franklin and Herb Hand. Herb Hand was the offensive line coach. Now he's the offensive line coach at FSU. James Franklin is obviously at Penn State. They kind of piqued my interest the most out of high school. They were at Vanderbilt at the time. I was really, really interested in Vanderbilt. Loved Vanderbilt. They had great academics. That's one thing I definitely wanted to not skimp on, was the academics. At the end of the day, you're a student athlete, and I know there's going to be life after the game. So I didn't want to just go to a school and say, "Hey, I'm here for ball." You know what I'm saying? I know that I was going to be the first person in my family to get that degree. So academics was taken very seriously, thankfully, in my eyes, even in high school. So Vanderbilt was kind of at the top of the list. Franklin left, said, "Hey, Marcus, we want you to come with us to Penn State." At the time, Penn State just had a few sanctions that weren't lifted quite yet. Number 2 on my book was Rutgers. They did a fantastic job recruiting me, and I actually have a great relationship with most of that coaching staff that recruited me to to this day, including Shiano, Cal Flood over at Texas. So I ended up taking an official visit to Rutgers, Maryland. I went to Oregon, Missouri, and I forgot where that fifth one was. I want to say it was Purdue. I'm not sure. It might have been Vanderbilt. I might have went to Vanderbilt anyway just to check it out. But yeah, so after taking my official visits, I ended up choosing Rutgers. I was an early graduate. I knew I wanted to leave my hometown as fast as possible. So I kind of ran through my high school online summer programs as much as I could because I knew the longer I stayed there, the less of a chance that I had of actually going to college. So that was very important to me, was graduating early. So I was able to get there in that winter, have my first winter workouts, those you're in it now workouts. You know what I'm saying? One of my first workouts, we had to partner carry. I had to partner carry another offensive lineman throughout the whole bottom bowl of the stadium, up one stair, down the next, up one stair, down the next. And I was the lightest freshman. Obviously, I was a freshman, just got there last week. I came in at like 280 pounds. Everyone's well over 300. I happen to get there. The heaviest offensive lineman, the 370-pound guy. So that was kind of my welcome to college football moment.
Right.
And, it's obviously in the winter of New Jersey, snaking that stadium at 4 or 5 a.m., whatever time it was, with a 370-pound guy on your back, trying to piggyback him up a stadium. So that was my welcome to NCAA football, at Rutgers. I spent, my 4 years there, became a Big Ten academic All-American for all 4 years, made sure I stayed on top of those grades. But redshirted my first year, then got really good playing time, started about half the season my second year, and then I became a starter and a team captain for the rest of my career. My decision to leave Rutgers was just wanted to get a master's degree at another school. When you have 2 degrees from 2 different schools, it holds a lot of weight. And we weren't winning a lot of games at the time because we were going through so many coaching staff changes. 4 years, 4 coaching staff changes at Rutgers.
Wow.
So I kind of opened up my recruiting. Virginia played a very heavy stance on me in high school. Ended up going and playing my last year, got my master's degree in psychology from the University of Virginia. Obviously, another academically inclined school. And we ended up going to a bowl game, ended up winning games. We beat South Carolina in our bowl game. I ended up being a team captain as well there. Got ACC, all academic honors while I was there as well. And I still have a great relationship with that coaching staff. The O-line coach there is 2J. He's at NC State currently. I'm actually seeing him in 2 weeks, flying to that coaching convention. But yeah, I'm excited. So that's kind of my college journey. And then after that 1 year, I went as an undrafted free agent to the Baltimore Ravens. As an undrafted guy, luckily I was signed, so I wasn't like a rookie mini camp invite. So that's I guess that's truly coming out the mud. If you get a rookie mini camp invite and then you get signed. So I guess I was blessed to have a good amount of teams throughout the draft. I had teams calling me throughout the draft. So I had a pick of about 10 or 12 teams, and Baltimore, by far, when it comes to developing O-line, the older guys that they had there, the mentors that I was going to have, and then it still be on the East Coast. I knew I still wanted to be on the East Coast, so that's kind of why I chose, and that's the beauty of going undrafted. You get to choose where you want to go, So I got to choose Baltimore. A lot of Florida guys were on the team, and I knew that. Florida and Texas, they just happen to have like some type of connection in the locker room wherever you go. You know what I'm saying? If you have Florida, or if you're from Florida, somebody will know, especially the other Floridians, So obviously Lamar is a Florida guy, a bunch of other Florida guys on the team. So as soon as I got there, I bonded pretty well with all those guys. And my time at Baltimore was awesome. Had that career-ending injury, and I think everything happens for a reason because I wouldn't be where I'm at today, I'm able to bless and mentor so many athletes in my community. Getting back to my family was number one. Being away from college and in the NFL for so long, missing all those holidays, I was like, man, I'm going home. I'm going back to Florida, and I'm gonna give back to my community. Kind of like what my high school coach did to me, but I want to do it on a more universal level to all these high schoolers in the area. So everything we do here at Prospect is not just training. We do nutrition, we do mentorship. I show these guys how to change car tires. I'm taking them through the recruiting process. If they need to call me at 2 a.m. and mom kicked them out, I'm driving over to the facility and we're sleeping here in the recovery room. Whatever it may be. If I need to take some foster guys in and work them out, which I currently do, whatever this community needs, that's what I'm here for. So that's my goal, is just to be here for the guys.
I love that. And I'm curious, I want to talk about your decision to ultimately do that, because I believe you told us when we were having our phone call kind of to plan and meet for this, you had a bunch of offers to go and coach at the college level as well. So what ultimately kind of factored in that decision to do what you're doing now with Prospect Performance over maybe taking that college coaching route?
Yeah, so I mean, it's just once again coming back to my community and then impacting players on a bigger scale. When you're at a college or even a high school, you can only impact those 20, 30, 40 guys that are on that roster, right? Whereas if you have a facility and open yourself up to your community, right now I have hundreds of athletes that I'm able to look after, mentor, and they can have access to me. So I wanted to, one, come back home, and then two, branch out to everyone in the community. So yeah, that was the number one thing, is being able to put my hands on everybody, and not just limiting myself to one team or one program. That was the biggest thing.
So now, what was that process kind of like to start up Prospect Performance? Did you kind of have that in mind, or how did you kind of start that journey up?
Yeah. So when I got back home, back into the community, people saw that I was back, and they saw me around town or at a restaurant. People started asking, like, hey, can you train my son? Can you train my cousin? I got my uncle that he's in a semi-pro league, or my cousin's he's committed to UCF, and whatever it may be. People were asking for training, and so I ended up doing some speed and agility training, some offensive line training, going into weight rooms with people, and it became just a very regular thing where I'm doing it every single day. I'm training all these people. I was like, I might as well just have, a dedicated facility, to something where people can come to even where they're not training. That was a really big thing as well. So that's kind of what led to it, was people asking for help, and I'm not the type of person to say no if someone's asking for help. So yeah, that's kind of what led to the facility.
Well, Coach, I know you have you have a new little one coming. Can you tell us a little bit about, you got some expectations coming, a little bundle of joy. So
Yeah.
I know you have one now and got another one. Kind of tell us what we're looking for here.
Yeah,
Join the family.
so the facility is 1 year old, and then I also have a 15-month-old. So I was kind of doing both things at the same time, and in a very similar stance, right? I have a baby due in 3 months, a little boy. So excited to get him on the sleds here soon.
Absolutely.
And having my little boy and my little girl kind of gives me another purpose in life. I guess it's just one of those things where prior to you having children, you get told all the time, oh, just wait till you have your own, and you're like, yeah, okay, and then you have your own, and you're like, oh yeah, I know exactly what they're speaking about. So yeah, I'm very excited. I get my little boy. I have my 15-month-old daughter. My wife is she's a veterinarian in the Tampa area. So we have one little dog. My whole family is in the community as well, in Weeki Wachee and in the Tampa area as well. So I have support from my whole family. So really good village that I have down here.
We'll be looking for a young Applefield in the class of 2043. coming
Yeah,
up.
yeah,
I
exactly.
think I did the math right there, but
Well, you did that pretty quick, man.
Yeah, much
kind
faster than
of
I
similar
would.
question though to what we asked you with the Drive7Bigs. Just what does your future hold? What do you kind of envision for yourself over these next 10, 20 years as you really dive into coaching and mentoring these athletes?
Yeah, so I see number one and foremost when it comes to DR Sports is the brand just growing drastically. Like we said, that standard is going to be set, and I plan to just build step by step, brick by brick, and keep raising that bar for the 5-on-5 world and for DR Sports overall. Um, at the facility here in Florida, my goal is my overall goal is to have a free training facility. I would like to be nonprofit. I would like to bring in guys that might not have the means like I did, you know. So that's kind of my end all be all goal with my training facility here in Florida is to be nonprofit and to give people a chance that might not get that chance. If they're going to down to Miami to train for thousands of dollars or whatever it may be. That's not who I'm about. That's not what I'm about. I want to give guys. I want the diamonds in the rough. I want the guys that never had the chance. I want the guys that are grinders. And for a lot of those facilities, you're not going to get that. So that's my end all be all goal for the facility down here in Florida is to train guys that really want to be trained. And for DR Sports, I think that they're on the same page. We want the grinders. We want the people that are going to get their hands down and dirty. That the guys, the dogs, the diamonds. And I think that's one thing that we'll just keep building brick by brick is make sure we find those guys and putting them on the biggest pedestal as possible to get them to the best places possible.
Well, Ben, he really summed it up for me. The great thing about what we're doing here at DR Sports and one of our other verticals is the platform, expose the unexposed. So that's where we're looking for those athletes that don't have exposure, and that means to training, to great mentorship, like what Coach is bringing down there in the Florida market, and just integrity in general. Then we can expose them to that. That helps them be great. I think, Coach, one thing I want you to share a little bit more, and you mentioned it a couple times, all the relationships you have, and what I want these athletes to know and these families to know, uh, the DR Sports platform, DR7, Drive7Bigs, and all our relationship that comes with it. It's about a network. It's about contacts. It's about who do you know, not what you know. And one thing that I know in our conversations, but I know you've mentioned a couple times of the contacts that you have within the college ranks. Can you speak to that a little bit and how valuable that is to help these athletes especially in this new NIL era and the transfer portal, how valuable that's going to be with the right team of people
Yeah,
to help them get
absolutely.
to the next level.
Yeah, I was blessed to obviously play on the Division I level, and I guess a blessing and a curse. I had so many coaching staffs on that level. And that's the business. That's the name of the game. That's just how the business goes. Coaches, players, everyone's in and out. There's always moving pieces, but that's also another blessing is you get to meet and be mentored and just have that relationship with so many people. So having that relationship with so many coaches and keeping that relationship has been so good for all of my linemen and my athletes in the area because I can simply just hit that relationship, whether he's at Texas, at Kyle Flett at Texas, 2J at NC State, whatever it may be. If I think that I have a player that's of that caliber, I can throw him a text and I know he's going to call me within the next few minutes when he likes that video. So that's definitely the relationships and my mentors is definitely something that I'm blessed to have. And then growing on those mentorships and growing in the community is very big to me. So yeah, just having those mentorships is crucial. Being able to call somebody when you need help, or if a player needs film breakdown and I'm not really able to look at it, especially if it's not at an O-line, D-line standpoint, I might hit a coach that might have coached me in the NFL or college football. Hey, coach, can you just take a look at this film, give me some feedback at a professional standpoint, so that's just something that is always helpful to have those relationships and connections.
Well, Ben, I think, I wanted to make that point because I want everybody to understand in our community that we're gonna bring you everybody that's elite, and we in every aspect. So when we bring new products and services and new verticals to the industry, we have the right people that we know that's gonna be able to expand our reach as well as expand our knowledge of the game and to help our athletes and everyone that comes to play, be a part of what we do here at DL Sports.
Yeah.
That's what coach exemplifies.
Yeah, and when it comes to teammates, those guys, obviously, I'm talking to very often, the guys from college, the guys from the NFL. I know as soon as they hear that I'll be in Texas or I'll be in Arizona or I'll be in Orlando, Florida, they'll be flocking to me. Hey, can we show up? Can we mentor these guys? Can I be there? Can I just say a little something? So they'll be scratching at the door to want to be able to mentor these guys as well. So that's kind of another positive relationship that I can have where I can bring these NFL guys, I can bring these college guys to be able to also mentor. So that's going to be awesome. I'm excited for that.
I can't wait. I'm really looking forward to it. We'll unveil some new details over the coming weeks as we get closer to the schedule being released, the full schedule. But as we said, that first tournament, it's going to be that February date. I think it's the last weekend in February, Mumphrey, in Houston.
Mm-hmm.
So we're looking forward to
22nd, 23rd.
And some stops in Florida. The Crown is back in Florida this year. I know we go up to Atlanta as well. So going to get to see a lot of talent from the Southeast, from Texas, and all over, and I'm excited for it.
Yes, sir.
So, Coach, appreciate you joining us, and we'll definitely be talking with you more as we continue to grow and build up the Drive7Bigs platform. So thank you so much for your time, and we're looking forward to working with you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right,
Thanks,
for Coach
Coach.
Applefield, for Jonathan Mumphrey, I am Ben Spicer. Thanks for joining us here on the Dedicated Podcast. We'll see you back next time. Make sure you hit that subscribe button on the way out. Plenty of content from DR Sports coming here to the channel as we start year 4